Hi everyone, welcome to the third video in this set of playthrough videos showing you how the game Cold Order and Opportunity, Making of the Post-Cold War World Order works. The game is currently on the P500 pre-order list with GMT Games. Okay, so and in this video we go through the Chinese turn. So as you've seen from the previous videos, we start with the first segment, which is the development segment, and we draw a card. This is not one of the 4 check cards in the deck, which would override the already revealed development, so we set it aside, the new card aside, and instead play the one that was revealed. Saakashvili plays as a Horizon event in Europe. Horizon events are always these events that are in the landscape orientation, and Europe, as I mentioned in the previous video, has these 3 Horizon event slots there. So Saakashvili will go into one of them. And yeah, this is an interesting card. It's got 2 event options for any player side, any power, as the game calls them, can take. And the top one brings the Color Revolution's pivotal event into play. Basically, in terms of mechanics, it will set Europe up for scoring later on. So it's an interesting option. Scoring, in the case of scoring, you will look at levels, influence levels here in the Europe spaces, and then give points accordingly. At this moment, the levels are pretty low, so nobody has an immediate interest in bringing the scoring into play. The second event option, so the bottom one here, has the effect that in the Eastern Europe space here, a power could replace an existing influence with their own, excluding military. So the NATO cube here would be, military influence cube would be safe. The Russians would be vulnerable to this effect. So let's keep that in mind. China doesn't necessarily want to hurt the Russians this early in the game, because they are kind of as the 2 authoritarian powers on the same side. The game has a certain cooperative or team play element. The democracies, EU and the US, versus the authoritarians, Russia and China. So you kind of want to keep your body power on your side, at least until the end game when the winner is decided. Okay, so that was the development, and then we move ahead into the opportunity step of the Chinese turn. China is not in the position to resolve any opportunities. As a reminder from a previous video, so these are the opportunity markers, the sort of the diamond-shaped counters here. They show the type of influence by showing the piece shape there that can be used to resolve these opportunities, that can be used to collect the marker. This one here in Central Asia, for instance, can be resolved with triangular economic influence or octagonal political influence. And as a reminder, there the number 2 shows that you need 2 levels, as shown here on the influence track space. And so China is nowhere in the position to resolve anything. So we pass to the commands segment, which is the segment where the Chinese take some actions. And we go into the China hand. This is the starting hand of cards we drew. I am going to play these 2 cards here for China. So we nominate the economic suit, play as many cards as we like or can of that suit, and so those 2 we have played. And as shown here on the track, on the reminder track here, when you play 2 cards of certain suits, you face consequences, which in the case of the economic suit is increasing polarization. So we put down a 1 level of polarization using the polarization marker here in the Chinese home space. Okay, and then we can proceed to using these cards. I am tempted to use these two cards. Let's see, we have some reaction abilities here that are interesting and potentially very useful for the Chinese. I would probably be tempted to place this card indeed as a reaction ability, and we do this in Asia because we think there will be some action happening on these world events. There's the Hong Kong situation for the Chinese, and China only, as the icon there on the top left corner shows, may resolve. And then there's the weapons of mass destruction crisis happening. It was randomly drawn for South Asia, so I presume something with Pakistan, nuclear arsenal crisis is occurring there. As you may have gathered from previous videos, there's a sandbox element to the game, so you will see world events and other card effects that are historical in terms of the theme and flavor, but what cards exactly come out in which game is different. So kind of to give you that sandbox feeling. Okay, so China has placed the reaction ability there, and then the next move, I'm going to use this card for the suit and the corresponding action there, and we've got the International Carbon Action Partnership World Event here, ICAP, in play. This is a slightly special world event in that it turns the world order track here into a space into which you can place influence, and that counts as you placing influence towards the resolving the ICAP world event. So the Chinese have now made the effort there. You must pay the space selection cost always, or in this case the track selection cost for when you take actions. That is already the Chinese turn. They unfortunately cannot take a second command, so China must be content with this one. We remember that no action took place in the Middle East or Africa, so the Arab Spring is not checked this turn, and so we pass to the Chinese planning phase. Again, we go into the hand window and may here now select one card that the Chinese might like to include into their draw deck. I am tempted to include this military suit card, mainly because of the momentum effect there, so hope to generate more commands for China in the future. So this goes into the Chinese discard pile and then will eventually enter the Chinese hand. Do I want to get rid of some card? I'm actually tempted to let's leave it there. We just draw the Chinese hand to 2 cards, and that's the hand of cards we are looking at using for the Chinese during their next turn. But before that, it's the Russians. So that concludes the Chinese turn. See you in the next video.